The issue of guns in the United States is more potent today than any time in the past recent years. By examining the reasons for these mass shootings, I have come to the conclusion that it is not the gun itself. It is the person behind the gun pulling the trigger. Today I'm going to argue that the issue of the gun control regulation needs to be stricter in order to reduce the number of deaths. I start off by saying the statistics over gun control. I will lead to the next proposal of my solution, how we can take the action. There have been an abundant amount of incidents over the past several years due to the United States gun control. In the Constitution, the Second Amendment gives any individual the right to own and bear firearms. Therefore, the people should follow this amendment because it can protect many lives, and you never know when you are going to need a firearm. It is not the guns shooting the people, it is the people shooting the guns. According to the New York Times, a proposal will have improvements to the system by reporting felony convictions and signs of mental illness, both of which trigger prohibitions on gun possessions under federal law. If the law required for guns to be taken away, anyone who deemed a threat to themselves or others, dozens of shootings would be stopped. On November 5th, 2017, a man walked inside a church located in Sutherland Springs, Texas, and committed a mass shooting. There were only 25 lives taken. The man who committed the crime, David Kelly, has hurt a child before, and under the federal law, he should have been forbidden from purchasing any sort of firearm. Although people with mental illness propose a threat to themselves and society while owning a gun, gun-free zone is not the solution. Chicago, Illinois is a gun-free zone that does not solve any of the crime that happens there. According to Chicago Tribune, is among 18 of the largest homicide rates. The gun-free zone law was taken to order 2 years ago. The Chicago Tribune also states that Chicago has almost 60% increase from the 1 year to the next men in homicide. One of the main reasons for this huge increase in homicide is because of the gun-free zone law. You can't just remove criminals because they will always find a way. A solution I strongly propose to stop these final fatal incidents being caused by guns is to support more inclusive background checks so you can identify who exactly is purchasing a firearm. This would prevent the mentally ill from not only purchasing a firearm, but being able to use it. Not only that is mentally ill people behind the trigger, it's also when parents don't lock their guns in their houses. This allows for a child to have access to a firearm when they don't know how to use it, and they could also be a threat to themselves and society. Now that I've talked about a solution, I will talk about the action needed to get there. It is time for Congress to take action into their own hands for prevention of the next violent shooting that could occur. Based on statistics, it is obvious that people are the ones causing these horrors and not the guns themselves. John Stanzel stated, "Criminals don't obey the law without the fear of retaliation from victims who might be packing heat. Criminals in possession of these weapons now have an easier job. As the saying goes, if guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns." The controversy over guns laws continues between Republicans and Democrats, therefore it is a difficult solution. I strongly believe that with all the mass shootings that have happened in America over the past few years, for a time to change. It is the people with mental illness that believe the only way to receive attention to commit these crimes. I think greater action should be taken place to prevent these shootings from happening is for schools to install metal detectors when you walk into the door. The only thing that stops a bad person with a gun is a good person with a gun. First, I talked about how people should express their Second Amendment right and to use these sake of their own lives. And talked about the shootings, and lastly, it is time that Congress steps in and takes instant action for our problem, or for this problem. I think the best proposal for this issue, if you can legally pass a background check, then you should be able to have a firearm at you at all time. Thank you for listening to my speech. I hope you guys all have learned the harm people who have mental illness can cause of owning a firearm. Thank you.